What's up, guys? So I got a question today from a young guy. I'll flash it up here in a second. And he was asking about like traditional jiu-jitsu warm-ups where you kind of warm up and do something, then you do technique a couple of times, like 10 times, and then you roll. He's wondering about my thoughts on it. So I thought instead of doing my normal thing where I just talk to you, I'm going to kind of show you. So we're getting ready to go train. It's Monday. My hair's already messed up from this morning session plus a private lesson. And so I'm getting ready to go in for a second session now with the guys, and I'm going to train a little bit harder tonight. And so when we get in here, I'll show you how I do it, because I personally think that the old way of just warming up, doing a few reps, and then like rolling is really inefficient. I don't think that necessarily that structure isn't that bad for most gyms, but you'll see what I mean in a second. Let's go ahead and go to the gym and we'll check it out. All right, so let's go out to the mat. I'll show you guys how we do it. Now keep in mind that this is not how I do every class, but this will be how I do some of them from time to time. This will be like an average class. All right, guys, so we just got 30 minutes of drilling in. So we did 3 moves, each one for about 10 minutes, and they all kind of connected together from butterfly guard. And so now what we're doing is the top person right here. We'll do DT and Evan here. So Evan's on the bottom playing butterfly guard. He is going to try to sweep or submit or do whatever he can from butterfly guard. He's not going to stand. I wasn't paying attention. He's going to try to sweep from the butterfly guard or half guard, because we just worked half guard last week, so they can use that. Now DT on top, right there, DT is going to try to stop his sweep. He can shut him down, but he can't pass. So he can do everything, but he cannot pass the position. And what this is doing is just letting them play around from the butterfly guard rather than like getting into like a full roll where they may not even use it and never get a chance to practice the techniques that they were just using. So we'll do a few rounds of this, spend probably about 20 minutes, and then afterwards we'll do some regular full rolls. We cater to it. You guys want something to drink in particular? Thank you guys for coming in today. Tom, good job playing a little slow today. Look at you. So this is Muhammad. Muhammad stopped in to train today. Where are you from?
Originally from Detroit, but I lived in Arizona for
Cool.
4 years before I trained.
Muhammad kicked me in the face. Never gonna take a picture. That's it, bro. So I normally have my camera here. Instead, I'm using the phone today because the camera didn't get charged, and it was just easier to do this thing today. So anyway, to answer your question, so about the way that I like to do classes, tonight the class was this was kind of like a basic class that I might run my gym through, right? Which is, your normal traditional structure of technique, rolling and stuff like that. But again, there's different ways to break it up. Now, this is not the only type of class that I'll do. Sometimes we'll do like only rolling. Sometimes we'll do only technique. This was a 2-hour class. And so the way that we broke this down, there really was no like hardcore warm up. Sometimes in the morning, I'll do some stretching and stuff, and some basic movements just to get the people's bodies warmed up, before we do some stuff. But I find that a lot of times if you just give some really basic drills, it's a perfectly fine way to get the body warmed up for jiu-jitsu. And so what we were doing today, we were doing repeating drills, where basically one person executes a move, and then once they execute the move, then the other person does something to reset the position. So essentially it was a butterfly guard sweep of some sort into a dominant position. The person would then do an escape from that dominant position into their own butterfly guard, and then they would initiate the sweep, and then it would just repeat. And they were on those techniques, those drills for these 10 to 15 minutes per. And I like to do a longer time because that allows people to really get a feel for the technique. I mean, if you do a technique like a handful of times, you really have no clue as to like all the inner workings of it. You don't really have a good feel for it. And again, in jiu-jitsu, that's really what we're going for, is that feel of the movement. And that takes time. It takes a lot of drills. And so, for instance, that drill today, they will be doing that drill for the next 2 weeks. One of those drills for about the next 2 weeks is a warm-up every single day, just getting that butterfly movement down. So this way we can develop that muscle memory, because that's what we're after, right? And so again, that's important. And so that's one of the things that I like to do. So whenever I come home, all right, so to answer your last question that you were kind of talking about in your message, which was about efficiency, right? How do I prefer to go about it? Again, everybody has their different ideas on efficient training. Now, back in the day when I used to coach, I used to put my guys through crazy hard warm-ups. We would do stretching and then warm-ups and and some of these warm-ups would start off with 200 air squats and push-ups and burpees and all this stuff. And it was great. And, sometimes I remember me and one of my other friends that used to be a coach at the gym, we would literally try to see who could put the students through the worst warm-up, because the students would come in and be like, God, man, Britt put me through hell the other day. And I was like, well, I'm going to put them through worse then. And we would do this whole thing. And before I knew it, like these students were just getting destroyed from these warm-ups. But again, that's probably not the most efficient way to train because, for me, the way that I look at it now is when people are coming to me for my class, they want the goods. They want the technique. They want the training. They want that stuff. And so for me, when I'm teaching someone, I feel like my goal is to make sure that the student is able to use the things that we just went over, right? A lot of times new coaches will want to show all kinds of crazy stuff. And again, when I go to some gyms where people in an hour class are squeezing 4 or 5 techniques in an hour class, I don't find that efficient because, I'm not going to be able to use any of that stuff. I barely trained with it. I barely got a chance to even get reps in, and now we're moving on to the next thing. Whereas if you give me a really core movement, I want to just rep that sucker out. That's my philosophy because I've just found from doing that over the years, the more reps I get with the techniques, the more likely they are to actually work for me. And again, my goal as a coach is to make sure that whatever we're drilling, I teach the students in a way and I make them train it in a way where they actually get to use it. And then, because again, you guys understand this, when you hit a technique in the gym, it feels great. It feels great to take a technique that you've been working on and then you nail it on someone during training or in a competition and everything else. And so going to efficiency, the most efficient way that I can possibly make that happen in my book is to get lots of reps of the technique to make sure they're really just boom, 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 getting more and more reps. And again, by bypassing any crazy warm-ups, we get right into the training. We get right into the technique. That's more efficient to me, I think. We have a full gym at my gym, so if they want to go hit the weights, they can do that or whatever they want to do. And then afterwards, doing situational sparring where we focus on just that thing. So we just got done doing it. Instead of just saying, all right, man, slap hands, bump fists, and do a full roll and end up in whatever position, let's focus on just what we just worked on. So now you get a chance to actually get some time in position because reps and time in position to me are so important. You can do other stuff, but those to me are 2 key cornerstones to really nailing a technique down. And then once you go to the full rolls, you can try to focus on it as best you can. But again, you know how it works, guys. Once you get into a full roll, who knows what's going to happen? You get into a battle with someone and just things happen. So as far as efficiency for training and rolling and everything else and teaching, that's kind of what I like to do with it. Again, get lots of repetitions within a 2-hour class. We'll go over 2-3 techniques, maybe lots and lots and lots of time to drill, lots of time to play around with those techniques. Some classes will be more technically focused where we'll slow things down a bit opposed to this one, which was a lot more movement, but nonetheless, we'll spend a lot of time in those positions. That said, we typically focus on a position for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes longer. So this way people can get a really good amount of time in those positions into play. So hopefully this was helpful to you, Steve Fish, and anybody else that may have had a similar question to you. Also, guys, if you're interested in this kind of stuff like drilling and everything else, I've got an ebook. It's probably, there's a link somewhere in this page. If you join my email list, which is the True Crew email list, I send out a daily email. If you go there and you click on that to subscribe, you'll get 3 free ebooks. One of which is a drilling ebook, which kind of goes into some details about this stuff that I'm sharing with you now, some of the philosophy behind this. If you're interested, it's free. Just check that out and to get it. And otherwise, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. And yeah, I'll talk to you next time.